It's Fist from the Streets. Who we got with us?
Peace and love. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. We live on South Street, 6s and 7. What am I wearing? I'm not big on the clothes because I'm a revolutionary, but I got on my African-made dashiki, my man. Levi's and my Air Force Ones.
Yes,
sir. I'm not big on the materialism.
Yes,
it's
sir.
activism over capitalism. You know what I'm saying? So, but one love. Margaret Sanger said, quote, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." I'm going to say it again. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger, your feminist, one of the leaders of your feminist movement. How you doing, feminists? Your leader, one of your leaders, one of your ancestors in your feminist movement, Miss Margaret Sanger. Yep. She's one of the mothers of feminists. Okay? The lady who brought Black Death to the hood is a feminist. She's one of the leaders of the feminist movement. Do your research. Feminist Margaret Sanger said, feminist eugenicist Margaret Sanger said, quote, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." Now listen to the second part. She says, and the minister in the black community, and the minister in the black community, listen up, and the minister in the black community is the man who can straighten out the idea. The minister in the black community is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. If it ever occurs to any more of their rebellious members. I'm going to say the whole quote so y'all can get this. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger. She says, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." And the minister in the black church, the minister in the black church is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Do I need to say anything else? Do I need to say anything else? The doctrine of Ifatunde is infallible. The doctrine of Ifatunde is infallible. A whole lot of chit chatter about what I had to say about Little Mermaid and Spider-Man to the end of the universe. A whole lot of chit chatter about what I had to say about Little Mermaid and Spider-Man to the end of the universe. Let me say this in the presence of my ancestors. Let me say this in the presence of my ancestors. Let me say this. I never told y'all not to support the young lady or the young brother. I don't blame them for the movie. They didn't control that movie. I didn't say, go, don't support them. I'm going to go see the movie. I'm not taking my children to see it because I don't support that. I'm not taking my children, but I will buy tickets, brothers and sisters. I will buy tickets anyway to make sure I'm not sabotaging the young brother and the young sister. You understand me? I'm very responsible with what I have to say. I'm very responsible with what I have to say, and I mean every word of it. They're going to remix my words and make it look like I'm trying to sabotage the young brother and the young sister starring in Little Mermaid and Spider-Man. That's not what the hell I said. If you can't quote me directly, don't quote me. If you can't quote me directly, responsibly and accurately, precisely and efficiently, don't quote me, brothers and sisters. It's a damn Snow Bunny movie. She got a white father in love with a white boy. Why she can't have no damn black parents? Why she can't have no black friends, huh? Why every time it's time for black people to have a children's movie, the family got to be all multicultural? Y'all don't multiculturalize none of those other superheroes characters in the movies. Y'all don't multiculturalize nobody else's character. They have white mother, white father, white brother, white sister, white girlfriend, white husband. But soon when it comes to black folks in the comic books and the Marvel movies, we got to multiculturalize everything. The destruction, what they say is an African proverb, the destruction of a people begins in the homes of its children. The issue is not how many children you have. The issue is, do you have the time and are you making time to spend with each one of your children? Because the last thing we need in South Africa, the last thing we need in Philadelphia, the last thing we need in the Bahamas or Bermuda, last thing we need in Black France is another African child growing up only to hate the world and taking out their frustration on the world because mommy and daddy never validated me.
This sounds like an argument for men that don't have money, don't have jobs, shouldn't be reproducing.
Never. I would never make that argument.
And the men that do have jobs probably are so overworked. In a place like South Africa, our black men are relegated to townships. They have to leave their homes at 4 or 5 in the morning while their children are sleeping. And they get home at 7, 8, 9. They don't get to spend quality time. So the argument sounds like if you don't have money, which arguably a lot of men don't have, you can't have kids. If you do have a job, you're probably not going to have the time to spend with your kids.
That's not my argument. I don't think economics should dictate whether or not you produce children. We have a God-given right to have children.
Yeah.
I would even argue we have a God-given obligation to make children. The question wasn't whether or not they should have children. The question is whether or not they should have large numbers of them.
Okay.
You see the difference there?
Isn't that a limitation?
No, not necessarily, because remember, society is going to pay a cost if you're not able to spend time with those children. I'm a psychologist. My job is to work with children. I deal with the emotionally frustrated and the socially dysfunctional child on a daily basis. It's my life. And do you know what they all have in common? From the killer to the drug dealer to the marijuana addict to the guy who's out sticking up old women for their pocketbooks. You know what they all have in common? Daddy never spent enough time with me. Mama never spent enough time with me. So it is very selfish for me as a black man to know I'm not going to raise these kids properly, produce them anyway, when I know the karmic reaction to my poor parenting is these children are going to take out the lack of love I gave them onto the community in the form of hatred. A lot of what's going on in South Africa, your murder rate is 3 times higher than America. In America, we're dying every day. South Africa's murder rate is 3 times higher than America. So you have to be responsible with your reproduction. Notice, I'm not emphasizing income. I'm emphasizing time. Children don't need money. They need time. You got one kid who has everything he wants, but gets no time with his dad. You got another kid living in poverty, but he gets time with his dad. Guess who's going to be happier over the long run? The impoverished kid who gets time with his child. So I don't care about the money. Make babies, but you better have time to spend with them babies. Because if you don't, that child will take out their pain that you caused them on the rest of us in South African society. And that's not fair. What they say is an African proverb: the destruction of a people begins in the homes of its children. When the George Floyd protest was black, 4 out of 5 were non-black.
Right.
At least 3 out of the 4 were white. So the George Floyd protests were mostly white people. If white people care that much about black folks, why didn't that woman who got Emmett Till murdered, why was she never arrested? If white people care that much about black life, why all these police that's going around killing black folks are not being held accountable? If white people care that much about black life, why don't we see it in the political and economic realities of black people? You know why they showed up to the George Floyd march?
Why?
To dissipate the power of black people and to redirect the focus of those marches. White people outnumber black people 5 to 1. So if you let them in, they automatically take control by virtue of their numbers and redirect it. And so Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party turned the George Floyd March into a damn celebration for Joe Biden. Joe Biden votes in the Democratic Party. We got nothing out the march whatsoever because we let it get diluted.
Right.
You have to keep it all black. The minute you let white people in, because you can't control how many join. There's more of them than us here. You can't control how many join. So the minute you let them in, they now have the power to remake this into whatever they want. And because most Negroes who participated in the George Floyd March made it multicultural, every time we get on the microphone, this is not just about black people. I'm so tired of hearing that shit.
It is, though.
Everywhere
it is
you
about
go,
us.
it is about us.
Yes.
But if you notice, when it's about us, it can't be about us.
Can't just
see, when the Mexicans shut down the highways in California, nobody tried to multiculturalize that. You understand me?
You're not welcome here.
Absolutely. This is our thing. When the European Jews, this is our thing. But soon when black people do it, we got to multiculturalize to do what? Kill the focus of it.
Holding hands.
Nobody wants black people to be free, and they damn sure don't want you to be equal, and they definitely don't want you to have more than they do.